And the translation for this is, by fixing the mind on the inner space within the crown center and sitting stably without any movement, having the eyes closed in succession, by that stability of the mind in inner space through the power of the third eye, one directly sees the ultimate goal Lakshya by having the vision beyond the sight that reveals any object or place, attaining the space of oneness with the source, Paramashiva. And the Apta Pramana for this power of third eye is from the Bhagavad Gita. Natu mam shakyase drashtu manenaiva swachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyam me yogamaishwaram. Bhagavan Krishna says to Arjuna, but you cannot see my cosmic form with these physical eyes of yours. Therefore, I grant you divine third eye vision. Behold my cosmic opulence. And in the Hindu Purana, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna initiates Arjuna into the power of third eye to behold Krishna's Vishwarupa Darshan, the vision of his cosmic form. And in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which contains Bhagavan Krishna, the description of Bhagavan Krishna's cosmic form, is completely narrated by Arjuna as he sees Bhagavan Krishna through his third eye. And the Atma Pramana for this power, in Swamiji's own words, the first experience is that I was able to see everything around me, above me, the whole 360-degree, 10 directions, below me, everything. I realized not only I was able to see, I was able to feel, experience all of that as me. And the next is the Pratyaksha Pramana, which is the empirical evidence from observation and scientific experimentation. So as all of you can see, using a PET, a positron emission tomography, the brainwaves of the Supreme Point of Hinduism himself was measured. And it was measured that when doing daily activities, there was high activity measured in the brain where the third eye is located. And when in deep samadhi state, only the third eye region is active and almost 90% of the rest of the brain is at peace. So now we will be getting into the Sakshi Pramana, where each and every one of us will be manifesting the powers ourselves, as all of us have been initiated into the powers now. So to get ready, you all can click on the timestamp camera, which is an application from the App Store. If you don't have it, you can download it now. And then ensure that the time is shown on the screen. And make sure that the camera is facing you. So you can place the camera, the phone, in whichever device or whichever device you're recording in. You can keep it standing in front of you in a way that you are shown in front of you. And when you start taking the video, ensure the time is shown on the screen. So you can take a few moments to set this up. So now all of you can close your eyes. Please close your eyes with the blindfold which you have, or an opaque cloth which you have. You can tie your eyes now. And now we will be projecting an image for you. So begin verbalizing whatever is revealed to you through the divine third eye. Now all of you can start seeing what is revealed to you in the third eye. The picture is being projected. You all can start verbalizing whatever is revealed to you. Yes, now please relax. You can remove your eyelids and slowly open your eyes. Please take a few minutes to type down what was revealed to you in your third eye. And you can upload your power manifestation videos and pictures with your answers and experience on social media with the hashtags of hashtag Nithyananda, hashtag Bhavasamadeshwara. So please take a few minutes to do this. Now let's take a minute to verify the answers. So we will be projecting the picture again for you to verify. So this was the picture which was projected for the third eye. It is a picture of Swamiji sitting, and behind we have Kailash as the background, as props. So if you saw Kailash, or if you saw white mountains, and of course if you saw Swamiji, and either you saw a Trishul, a Damaru, if you saw any of these things, that's great. And there are even plants in the picture. So if you have seen anything in this picture, you have manifested the power. And now let's move on to the next power, where we will be manifesting the power of Mahima. So the Shastra Pramana for the power of Mahima comes from the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. Mahima vyapya chastanam brihadehendriyadibihi tritiyam kayata siddhim aishwaryam manimadikam. Bhagavan Paramashiva says, Mahima is the power to exist pervasively with the help of huge bodies, organs, and such others. These three lordly powers, Anima, Laghima, and Garima, are expressed through body. And the Apta Pramana for this power of Mahima comes from the great Purana of Ramayana, where Lord Hanuman wanted to cross the ocean to reach Lanka, where Devi Sita was held hostage. So he was stopped. When he was crossing the ocean, he was stopped by a demon named Surasa. And the demon demanded that anyone who has to cross the ocean must first enter into her stomach, and for her to eat. So Hanuman stretches himself to 10 yojanas, and 1 yojana is approximately 7.6 miles. So then Hanuman stretches further. He stretches his body further into 30 yojanas, and then Surasa on her own enlarges her mouth into 40 yojanas, and then Lord Hanuman then stretches his body to 50 yojanas. Then Surasa widens her mouth more to 80 yojanas, and then again Lord Hanuman grew up to 90 yojanas, looking like a mountain. Then Hanuman, observing Surasa's enlarged mouth, open and dreadful like hell, with a long tongue, suddenly shrunk his body to the size of a thumb. And the Atma Pramana for this power of Mahima is from the life of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself. It is an incident which happened in Swamiji's life at the age of 4 or 5 years old. Swamiji was able to lift a wooden cot beyond his own physical weight. He demonstrated not just psychological strength, but also physical strength. So one day, Swamiji's mother asked him to wake up his uncle who was sleeping on the wooden cot. Swamiji recalls, he did not wake up. I just tumbled the 2,200 pounds teak wood cot. He is rolling, and actually he got up and ran away, thinking that some earthquake had happened. You see, you can never imagine a cot tumbling. A chair tumbling is okay, but a cot tumbling, and now still I can remember the scene. He thought some earthquake happened and he ran. And now you can all see also a few screenshots taken from social media where devotees and disciples have shared their experience of manifesting this power of Mahima. And now we ourselves will be manifesting the power of Mahima. So we will be entering into the first round. And in this round, as we did before, all of you can click on the timestamp camera and ensure that the time is shown on the screen, and make sure that the camera is facing you. So please take a few moments to set this up. And in this round of manifestation, we will be measuring. You can measure your finger or your hand. You can use a measuring tool to measure the height. If you don't have a measuring tool, then you can pick a paper and a pen and mark the height of your hand or finger on the paper, and you can mark it with a pen. Then take a picture of the current height and then connect to Paramashiva Swamiji through your third eye and declare that the height of your object should increase. And from that space of oneness, declare, I am Paramashiva and Paramashiva is manifesting to Swamiji. And with that declaration, increase the height of your object. So please now, you all can chant the Mahavakya and start the manifestation. Yes, now let's take a minute to verify the manifestation. So please re-measure your hand, whichever you have measured, and click a picture of the object after of your hand. Click a picture of your hand or your finger after the manifestation of Mahima. And you can compare the previous one with the current one. And any changes indicates a successful manifestation. So you can take a few moments to re-measure. And you can also take a few moments to upload your power manifestation videos and pictures and your experience of the power manifestation on social media with the hashtags of hashtag Nithyananda, hashtag Bhavasamadhi, and hashtag Venkateshwara. And we'll now be getting into the second round of Mahima. So as we did before, all of you can get your cameras ready, the timestamp camera. And in this round of Mahima, you can pick any object that you want to use for the manifestation, which you can use for the manifestation by increasing its height. Measure the object by using a measuring tool, or if you don't have one, then you can place it on a paper and measure it on the paper with a pen. Then take a picture of the current height of the object, and then connect to Paramashiva Swamiji through your third eye and declare for the height of the object to increase. And from the space of oneness, declare, I am Paramashiva, and Paramashiva is manifesting through Swamiji. And with that declaration, increase the height of your object. So now please chant the Mahavakya and start the manifestation.
Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om
Yes, now let's take a minute to verify. So please remeasure the height of your object and click a picture of the object after the manifestation. And you can compare the previous one with the current one. And any changes in the height of the object indicates a successful manifestation. And you can also take 2 minutes to quickly post your power manifestation videos and pictures on, and also your experience on your social media with the hashtags of hashtag Nithyananda, hashtag Bhavasamadhi, and hashtag Venkateshwara. And now we will be getting into the third round of the power of Mahima. So as we did before, you can get your timestamp camera ready. So please take a few moments to set this up. And in this round of manifestation, you can pick a partner you want to manifest the power with by increasing their height. So if you have somebody at home, you can either get them to volunteer, or you can also maybe call up somebody. You can pick a partner and get them to measure their height, or if they're physically with you, you can measure their height. And once their height is, you can measure their height with a ruler on the head or a book on the head and mark it with a pen or a pencil, whichever you're comfortable with, and take a picture of the current height. Then connect to Paramashiva through your third eye and declare the height of your object, of the person you are manifesting for, to increase. And from the space of oneness, declare, I am Paramashiva and Paramashiva is manifesting. And with that declaration, increase the height of your partner. So now all of you can chant the Mahavakya and connect with Swamiji and manifest the power of Mahima for your partner.
Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda
Yes, now let's take a minute to verify the manifestation. So please remeasure the height of your partner who you're manifesting for. And you can compare the previous height with the current height, and any changes in the height of your partner indicates your successful manifestation. And you can also take a few minutes to upload your power manifestation videos and pictures along with your experience and the amount of manifestation you have done on your social media platforms with the hashtags of #Nithyananda, #Babasmadi, and #Venkateshwara. And now with this, I thank all of you who are watching us for joining us for this Venkateshwara Babasmadi Darshan. And we will now be concluding with the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nithyananda Paramashiva Padukar Pranamastu. Om Nithyanandam. Thank you everyone and for joining us today, and please stay tuned for the further programs and further sessions which will be live. And once again, I thank all of you for joining us. Thank you.
We get you health. We get you ability to build beautiful relationships in your life. We get you direct spiritual support, and we make sure you become wealthy. We won't stop giving you just good life. We will literally not stop till you live enlightened life. Manifesting the state of Paramashiva, space of Paramashiva, powers of Paramashiva, being of Paramashiva. Whole world should become e-Kailashians.
I want the whole world to know Hindus have something great to contribute to the world. we have something great to contribute to the world. Let us do that.
E-Kailasa is proper customized spiritual service helping you to identify your root patterns of suffering. We have perfected the science of individual from every cultural, religious, nationality background. You will have lowest reactionary assumptions, highest awakened response, alive response for life continuously. E-Kailasa is enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself in your own home, wherever you are. Proper customized spiritual service helping you to complete with your life negativity, withdrawal from life, self-hatred, self-denial, self-doubt, so much of tiredness, laziness. We can support you aligning your diet, your attitude, your aptitude, your understanding about life. We can help you with everything. If you are interested in enlightenment, we will immediately bring this to you. If you are not interested, we will explain the whole science, inspire you and make you interested in enlightenment time. We need to cater this enlightenment science to the whole world wherever they are, because enlightenment is the birthright of all human beings. Kailasa is responsible to provide that to all human beings. Kailasa is the totality of the knowledge I received from my gurus and practice manifested in my life, perfected by teaching millions of people from all cultures, time zones, backgrounds, genders, nationality, race, from every creed. So this absolutely perfected knowledge available to you, served to you in your home without even you moving out of your couch, cost.
Just be alive for next 3 years. Don't die within next 3 years. Just don't die within next 3 years. Be alive. Somehow be alive. I'm working sincerely. I will reach you somehow. Somehow I will reach you. It's my commitment to humanity. Just don't die within next 3 years. I will reach you wherever you are, whichever corner of the world you may be. I will reach you with enlightenment. You manifesting the space, state, powers, being Paramashivoham. It is possible and it is possible for you. Paramashiva will reach you with enlightenment science. I know he is going to do the job. Just be alive for next 3 years. Nothing else.
There are some great spiritual sciences unique to Hinduism. Subtle, otherworldly, but definitive sign. Manifesting the cosmic beings in Archavatara, deities in Nijavatara, living incarnations is possible. Understand? Kriya Pada of Vedas and Agamas elaborately explain the whole science of making the cosmic beings manifest in Archavatara, deities and Nijavatara, living incarnations, both. During the Bhava Samadhi Darshan, literally those cosmic beings manifest through this body. Just like how they manifest in Archavatara, deity, they manifest in Nijavatara, Pratyakshavatara, and give you all the boons you ask, bless you.
You see, each God is an independent intelligence to lead you to enlightenment. Each God is a bridge for you to achieve the Shivatva, the ultimate Shiva consciousness. Krishna is the bridge for you to achieve the Krishna consciousness. But Shiva consciousness, Krishna consciousness, all consciousness is one and the same. Ultimate consciousness only. So that energy itself completely expresses.
Just like Radhika, when I see Seema, I become eager to taste it. I find that the only way to relish this sweetness is through the constitution of Sri Radhika.
Bhava Samadhi Darshan is a window to the infinite expanse of consciousness, allowing us to glimpse the formless in a way that we can understand. It cleanses the karmas of lifetimes. It awakens our biomemory to the space of Paramashiva, the ultimate consciousness, and creates a deep and lasting transformation in us.
Just be alive for next 3 years. Don't die within next 3 years. Just don't die within next 3 years. Be alive, somehow be alive. I'm working sincerely. I will reach you somehow. Somehow I will reach you. It's my commitment to humanity. Just don't die within next 3 years. I will reach you wherever you are, whichever corner of the world you may be. I will reach you with enlightenment. You manifesting the space, state, powers, being Paramashivoham. It is possible, and it is possible for you. Paramashivoham will reach you with enlightenment science. I know he is going to do the job. Just be alive for next 3 years. Nothing else.
नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्याद्विलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षीभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. Nithyanandam, dear viewers, we welcome each and every one of you back for yet another very, very exciting and extremely informative segment. And all of us just enjoyed the Bhava Samadhi Darshan of Bhagavan Venkateshwara and the powerful session of power manifestation. And we have a great news to share with all of you, and especially all the 2 billion Hindus across the globe. This is a very, very, very exciting news for all of you. Actually, the world with 7 billion plus people existing is diverse. There are so many cultures, people with so many backgrounds, so each of them with different beliefs, different experiences, and many of them following their respective religions. Yet, from time immemorial, one lifestyle, a science, is Sanatana Hindu Dharma, which has constantly been enriching lives, contributing in various fields such as science, medicine, whatnot. And being one such important religion and a lifestyle and a science that flourished, it has also faced immense persecution and attacks. This is the only religion. Actually, this is a greater science of life as the is the most ancient and the most persecuted religion in the whole world. Yet, this Holocaust has been not told to the world. Still, even Hindus themselves are unaware of what is the Holocaust, what is the persecution that Sanatana Hindu Dharma has gone through for centuries and is still going through. After years of persecution, if Sanatana Hindu Dharma, a greater science of life, is able to still thrive and flourish, it is because time and again, masters, avatars, incarnations have happened, have descended to uphold the Dharma, to revive the science time and again, to give it for the greatest benefit of humanity. And after years and years of persecution, now as the 1008th living incarnation of Paramashiva, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself has descended to planet Earth to revive, to reach this greater science of life called Sanatana Hindu Dharma to each and every human being, for them to experience the best of their life, for them to experience joy, bliss, peace, and a very powerful way of living. Sanatana Hindu Dharma as a lifestyle itself is absolutely contributing to each and every individual, absolutely based on life positivity, peace, and oneness. And today, we are having a very exciting news that we are waiting to share with all of you on how this Holocaust faced by Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Actually, if all of you have been following, seeing the daily issues, you would have seen a lot of Holocaust, like the material that we have shared on what kind of Holocaust that Sanatana Hindu Dharma has gone through and is continuing to go through, and how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is literally like a hologram. All that persecution put together, the persecution he is going through. And most importantly, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is standing as the voice of the 2 billion Hindus, spearheading the whole revival of Sanatana Hinduism and taking all the persecution and attacks that happened to Hinduism to the platform to tell to the world and to get us our legitimacy back in every level. And as one of the important steps in that, at the recent International Religious Freedom Summit that has happened, the Kailashians represented the whole of Hinduism as a voice of the 2 billion Hindus, sharing with the world the persecution that has happened to Sanatana Dharma. What once thrived in 56 nations is today literally stateless. Except that now, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagat Guru Maha Sannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam, has spearheaded and established the world's greatest Hindu nation, Kailasa. And as Kailasa is now taking the spiritual responsibility for the peace of the whole globe, and also the responsibility to provide all the legitimacy back to Sanatana Dharma and to revive Sanatana Dharma back to all its glory and to create a seed bank of Hinduism. Kailasa has taken also the responsibility to speak out the Holocaust that Hinduism has been and is facing even to this day. So to Manitya Jayapriyananda and Manitya Vijayapriyananda and Sri Gauri Bharatananda Ayya, all three of Kailashians who are going to be sharing with us this very exciting news, how Kailasa has spoken, taken this Hindu Holocaust, the untold yet the most barbaric Hindu Holocaust, to an international platform and raising the awareness of the globe to this Holocaust. Nithyanandamma.
Nithyanandamma, thank you for bringing us to this platform. We are so excited to share about our experience, and we feel so blessed that Swamiji, the Supreme, has chosen us to represent him at this international platform, the International Religious Freedom Summit that was held in Washington, D.C. We feel so blessed that he has chosen us and we are able to talk about the persecution of the Rasa, persecution of Hindus, the Hindu Holocaust.
Yes. Sorry, Ma Jayapriya and Ma Vijayapriya. If I may just request, I think there's a small audio glitch from your side. So if I may just request that to be fixed. And yes. And dear viewers, as each of you are watching us, we have our Kailashans, team of Kailashans, Sri Nitya Gauri Bharatananda Ayya, Manitya Vijayapriyananda, Manitya Jayapriyananda, all three of them who have joined with us, and they are going to be sharing. So stay tuned to hear from us, and we are having a very, very exciting, extremely informative and a powerful sharing that awaits each and every one of you. And joining with us live are the Kailashans who are going to share that. And we'll be right back after a short break to join with you all and to share further.
There are some great spiritual sciences unique to Hinduism. Subtle, otherworldly, but definitive sign. Manifest the cosmic beings in Archavatara, deities in Nijavatara, living incarnations is possible. Understand? Kriya Pada of Vedas and Agamas elaborately explain the whole science of making the cosmic beings manifest in Archavatara, deities and Nijavatara, living incarnations, both. During the Bhava Samadhi Darshan, literally those cosmic beings manifest through this body. Just like how they manifest in Archavatara, deity, they manifest in Nijavatara, Pratyakshavatara, and give you all the boons you ask, bless you.
You see, each God is an independent intelligence to lead you to enlightenment. Each God is a bridge for you to achieve the Shivatva, the ultimate Shiva consciousness. Krishna is the bridge for you to achieve the Krishna consciousness. But Shiva consciousness, Krishna consciousness, all consciousness is one and the same. Ultimate consciousness only. So that energy itself completely expresses.
Just like Radhika, when I see my own sweetness in the mirror, I become eager to taste it. I find that the only way to relish the sweetness is through the constitution of Sri Radhika.
Bhava Samadhi Darshan is a window to the infinite expanse of consciousness, allowing us to glimpse the formless in a way that we can understand. It cleanses the karmas of lifetimes. It awakens our biomemory to the space of Paramashiva, the ultimate consciousness, and creates a deep and lasting transformation in us.
Just be alive for next 3 years. Don't die within next 3 years. Just don't die within next 3 years. Be alive. Somehow be alive. I'm working sincerely. I will reach you somehow. Somehow I will reach you. It's my commitment to humanity. Just don't die within next 3 years. I will reach you wherever you are, whichever corner of the world you may be. I will reach you with enlightenment. You manifesting the space, state, powers, being Paramashivoham. It is possible, and it is possible for you. Paramashiva will reach you with enlightenment science. I know he is going to do the job. Just be alive for next 3 years. Nothing else.
Good and home. Nithyanandam, everybody. We feel so blessed today to be here and sharing about our experience, and also we feel so lucky and blessed for Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, to have chosen us to represent him and Kailasa Nation at the International Religious Freedom Summit that was held in Washington, D.C. And this has been the largest and most important religious freedom event of the year. There was over 1,200 people attended, from government agencies to civil citizens, and there was over 10,000 people who attended online. And we now give the platform to Gauri Bharatananda, so he can give us a context of the summit. Nithyananda Maya.
Nithyananda ma'am, I think there is an echo coming from your side. Can I mute your speaker?
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, hi. Yeah, so basically this event, like Mark, Jayapriya and Vijaypriya said, this event is a large event. And what is interesting in that event is it's a collection of all faiths, right? So there was no faith which is literally left out in that. And almost every major country or every major area that was being persecuted has been represented here. And it's, in a way, if you look at it, right, so people have come to a conclusion that, you know, religious space or religious freedom is not just your right, but it also is an essential requirement for you to show that you are a liberal, you know, a government, or, you know, you're a sensible government for that matter. So that is when in late 90s itself, US began to take steps to track religious freedom globally. And over a period, it has institutionalized the area of tracking religious freedom. I mean, it does it it doesn't track religious, this organization doesn't track religious freedom in India, but it does it outside. You can see that through their USCIRF reports, which is United States Commission for International Religious Freedom, and then they have a Religious Freedom Office as part of their Foreign Affairs Office, which is your State Department. And then there is a whole industry that has been built which promotes religious freedom. I mean, when I use the word industry, it's an ecosystem. What I mean is that there is a Vatavarna that has been created. So you have scholars, you have bureaucrats, you have diplomats, you have activists, you have lawyers whose only specialization is religious freedom. They have nothing else. I mean, in a sense, US had made it possible, not just possible, you are richly rewarded, even financially, for pursuing religious freedom globally. I mean, this is one thing that is phenomenal about US. So any problem that they have figured it out how to convert it into a business problem. So if you have a problem of religious freedom, they have made it a business problem. That means if anyone wants to fight for religious freedom, he or she can make their living, not just and a very comfortable living at that. So that is why there is a greater incentive in US to fight for religious freedom globally. And because it's a business problem, they want to expand. So they want to expand the fight for religious freedom globally. And that is why we see, I mean, almost, I think it's phenomenal. I mean, the whole area was booked. And the interesting thing was only 2 paid people managed the whole show. The rest of the thing was organized by volunteers. And because it has become an industry, I mean, people are specializing it right from the college level. I mean, they're grooming young people to think on religious freedoms and go fight on it in the future. So it's not a freak show. It is not a temporary thing. It's a sustainable ecosystem that they have built, which is growing every year. And they have penetrated into all areas. So right now, earlier religious freedom used to be looked at with an isolated point of view. Today, every aspect is being tested with the angle of religious freedom. So for example, if you're running a business, they're testing, is your business giving religious freedom? They're testing if is your business supporting you to express your religion. See, earlier the business culture was religion is a personal space to your home. Don't bring it to the work. Now the thinking has changed, where they're saying no, we should allow people to express their religion so that they're more efficient at work. So we see, large social media companies like Facebook and all of them also being represented here. Now they're also interested in allowing their own employees to be comfortable in the workplace where they can express their religion. And they have created an alliance for that also. So that, unfortunately in India, the religious freedom is going back, whereas rest of the world, they're pushing the boundaries of what is acceptable and what is not. When you look at the whole conference, people pretty much agree to all the principles that Sanatana Hindu Dharma talks about. So in a sense, if you look at it, the whole world is ready to become Hindus. They're already practicing Hindus. They just don't know yet. That is the impression I got out of that summit. That is why it kind of makes sense why the whole world is ready for Paramashivoham.
Actually, I want to add to this. So there was one person, and he was a Muslim, and he shared about the free will, like how the Lord gives the free will to people, even though they can make everybody, like a practicing, have a faith, but the Lord chooses for the person to have a free will. And this is exactly what Swamiji says, Paramashiva, he has the power to, he has the power of attorney, but he decides to give us the free will. So like you said, is right, they don't know, but they are practicing Hindus. It's the same principle that they are following.
Yeah, it is very enlightening to see. The level of collaboration and cooperation different religious entities on the ground are having to promote freedom of religion is phenomenal. It's a global movement. There is no stopping it. And that is what they are confident about this as well. See, earlier religious freedom was in the domain of non-religious people only. Today, religious people have taken over the, pushing the boundaries of what is religious freedom. So they know that they're an unstoppable force. It's like that's what gives us a lot of hope. That the Kailasas, the roadway to Kailasa is through the government and people of US.
Yes, and religious freedom itself is so important to US. And people like former Senator Mr. Brownback is advocating for religious freedom.
Yeah, he's not just an ambassador. He built his entire career on religious freedom. He was an ambassador at large with the Foreign Office during Trump time. Now he's the new one is yet to be appointed, but for them it's such a serious issue that they have decided to appoint in the next, I think, couple of weeks. And a lot of interesting people, and we had I think one very interesting encounter with an Indian Christian, and once we started to talk about Swamiji and what he's trying to do, and for him it was a no-brainer. He knew that Swamiji will be attacked. He says, I'll be surprised if he's not. He's posing a serious threat to a certain institutions, and from his point of view, he's saying that I think that's what Swamiji says, right? Other people, outsiders, understand me better than Hindus themselves. This is a classic example. Like everybody understood immediately why Swamiji is being persecuted. We didn't have to explain them much. And they were very, very concerned with the level of persecution that was happening. And the amount of support that we got globally from pretty much every component was phenomenal.
Yes, that was actually our first international platform where we could speak. They actually invited us to speak, to give a speech for the first time about the persecution of the Supreme Pontiff, Kailasa, and Hindus. People don't know that, Hindus are being persecuted. You hear about other being persecuted, but I feel Kailasa Nation, it was a first, for people to hear that Hindus also are being persecuted. The Supreme Pontiff also is being persecuted. And this is a platform, a place where our voices will be heard. like the persecution of SPH, of Hindus and the minorities.
Yeah.
This is like the perfect place. And like you said before, people were so shocked when they heard that, he's the Supreme Pontiff, his passport was illegally taken. He was exiled. So people were so shocked about this. And we were able to speak to government officials and tell them about this persecution. And they were all so concerned, and they were willing to listen more to us. Even the Ambassador Braunbach, we met with him. He listened to us, and the second day again, when we went to meet him, he remembered us and our story. So I feel, a lot of support was being given. They were hearing, us of what's going on, and I feel this is like a breakthrough we are getting in this, our voice being heard in this sense.
Yeah, and plus there are a lot of individual stories as well. Like we met one, a Korean Christian who's apparently he's from, not apparently, he's from a village where he says, "I'm from the lineage of Mata Sita." Then he went on to explain that his village is where there is a stone which the Queen Ayodhya, a queen named Ayodhya, came from Uttar Pradesh and became the queen of South Korea, and the entire bloodline of South Korea comes from that queen. And he explained to us how there were two parts of the rock. One rock was in Uttar Pradesh, one rock was in his village. And when they did the carbon dating the dating process on that, it was found to have the same age, and which revalidated that it came from Uttar Pradesh, or it could have come from South Korea. But looking at the stone characteristics, it came from Uttar Pradesh. So a lot of interesting, and he ended up, because he couldn't make it to my remarks, he felt very bad, and he, got one blessing shawl, which the Buddhists wear, like a white one, and he bowed down and gave it to me, and then he gave a Tibetan incense, which is part of their blessing, like a prasad kind of thing. Yeah, it was very moving. We had a lot of individual offers of support as well. Some support from at the organization level, but we had a lot of individual support, like a spontaneous support at the individual level.
Yeah, and also the person from South Korea, he said he's the descendant of Mata Sita, and as a child he was studying Ramayana at school. So and he was so happy when he came to our table and looking at Swamiji's books, Avatar Shastra, the Sarvanyapita book. He was really, really happy, and so many other people like that. There were Jews coming to our table and looking at Swamiji's books and being impressed. They were like, "It's so colorful, it's so nice." And so many other people coming to us, asking, who we are, who we represent, and wanting to take pictures and knowing more about Swamiji and Kailasa Nation. Yeah, and the purpose of this summit is actually for each and every religion to support each other. It's not Hindus supporting Hindus. It's Hindus, Muslims supporting Christians or Sikh. It's like that. Like everybody supports everyone, and help in any persecution that's happening.
Yeah, interestingly, we ran into one Hindu. Couple of Hindu organizations who claim to fight for Hindu human rights. When in our discussions, their worldview was Hindus are not persecuted in India, and which is not surprising. A lot of people are not aware of this persecution in India. And then after my remarks, these same guys, the guys from the same organization, reached out to me, and they were actually concerned, like, why would India persecute Hindus? That was their whole worldview. Like, India is a Hindu country, and why would Hindus persecute Hindus? And then when I went on to explain to him that it's the gap. It's not the Hindus persecuting Hindus. It's actually a politically motivated militants who are persecuting Hindu gurus, and it is so systematic and so violent. And because there is no one speaking about it globally, and people are turning a blind eye towards it, it is never being I mean, nobody ever notices. I mean, that person was visibly, shaken, or he went pale when we explained, when I ended up explaining those details. I mean, it's kind of an interesting eye opener, I hope, for him.
So Aya, why would you say this forum was important to us?
One, it's like think of it like a trade show, right? So you pretty much know all the playbooks every persecuting government is using all over the world. You also know the playbook for fighting this. And then you also know what are the success stories, right? I mean, people just didn't come there to talk about their problems. They also came there to talk about strategies. They came there to talk about success stories and support each other. Like when you are attending a place like this, there is an immediate understanding and a cognitive shift that occurs, right? I mean, the whole world, now all these people, the experts, I mean, in religious freedom, now they actually understand that the Hindus are being, Guru Sishya Parampara is being persecuted in India. Now it's out there. I mean, it's no longer, unknown. It's no longer hidden. It is out there in the public. It's only a matter of, days before they end up officially, publicly recognizing the persecution of SPH. So far, people understand, people know. It's just that you need some time for them to organize and make it public.
Also, I would add to it that we've met individuals from organizations who publish reports, and one of them, specializes in publishing reports about the persecution of Christians. But when we told her our story, the persecution of the SPH, she immediately said, okay, to send her the reports, and she will. She said that she publishes reports every 2 years, and to send her, whatever material we have. So even in this sense, we are getting the support of the international community, and that lady was from Germany, and he flew here for the conference.
Yeah, actually, it's that person just doesn't specializes in only looking into Europe. She doesn't even specialize into looking India. She was so moved, she compelled to publish. I mean, she was moved actually. So now people see, now this is the second side, right? Now people will stretch themselves. People will stretch themselves into covering SPH as well. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so apart from that, there is actually a couple of other, we ended up meeting a few specialists who look at policy decisions. Like the way they work is they organize country-specific seminars where they end up discussing with their counterparts globally and try and map it to and look at the situations, right? Now, because this this understanding of Hindu persecution is already out there, it makes it very easy for us to collaborate with potential partners independent partners who can actually look at the persecution of Hindus and then publish out independent reports. So now what will happen now is, earlier, see, this is the game that is being played by these political forces, right, where their entire narrative is around nationalism. So moment they see somebody, it worked as long as persecution of Hinduism was hidden. The whole game collapses once the persecution of Hindus is made public. That is what is going to happen. Like once the persecution of Hindus is made public, the whole political militant neo-Hindutvas, their story will begin to collapse, unravel very quickly. Yeah, on and all, it was a great experience there. I mean, it's definitely, it gave us an insight into what the policymakers are thinking, what they look for. And apart from that, understanding of what, activists are pushing for. I mean, it's very clear that there is definitely a shift which has happened in the world. It's very apparent. And plus, this was conducted after 16 months in one area, right? Because of COVID lockdown, there was not much activity that was happening. So all the more, I mean, people were doubly motivated to, push this even further. So yeah, almost every community was represented, every sub-tradition, every tradition, and the level of organization that is there globally. So I mean, and the amount of collaborations that each organization does with each other, right? And it's not one organization fighting isolatedly. It's a network of organizations who end up collaborating with each other. It was phenomenal. But only the sad part was there was not many Hindu organizations there. It was just like a few here and there. Like Hindus, unfortunately, have not organized themselves into, not just, I mean, I would say they have not taken up the responsibility of organizing themselves. So this is where the collective integrity that Swamiji talks about comes to play. The rest of the world has taken collective responsibility for themselves. We have not taken that yet. It's once we begin to take it, things will change very rapidly. That part I'm very confident on. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Yes, and people were very interested in knowing our stories, like what is Kailasa? Like they were very intrigued to know what's happening really. And when we were telling them the story, they were like very, very surprised. They never heard something like that, and persecution on Hindus.
Yeah, and they never heard about, Hindu persecution,
Hindu genocide. Yeah, they were very surprised.
And
Hindus themselves were surprised, other Hindus. They couldn't even understand why gurus were persecuted, and they couldn't. Some Hindus and the so-called representatives of people who are fighting for Hindus, they don't even notion of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. There is a clear-cut science behind recognizing, identifying, testing, validating, and incarnation. The irony was this: when we spoke to the government officials, and when we're talking about how Dalai Lama is recognized a nation, his immediate, instantaneous response was, yeah, reincarnation is a science. This is the understanding of government officials there.
Actually, listening to this conversation, it is just making, I'm sure for each and every viewer, it's the same too, where we understand one is this world is diverse and there are so many people, so many religions, so many cultures, and also, Hinduism, as one of the oldest civilization, is having its impact in every form, in every way of it. And that is why, still today, it has thrived and flourished as one of the most practiced, most lived religion, yet most persecuted. And what happened to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and this whole revival of Kailasa is a hologram of the whole persecution that has happened to Sanatana Hinduism. Actually, listening to Ma Jayapriya, Ma Vijayapriya, and Gauri Bharatanandaya, it's really, I'm sure, is an eye-opener for each of us to understand. One is how many people are not aware of what Hindus themselves, majority, are not aware of what happened to Hinduism, the persecution that has been happened. Also, even as humanity as large, where the greater science of life for Hinduism is not being available to people.
We just wanted to ask, like as you were sharing, how even there you felt like everybody were literally resonating with what Hinduism is. Like people had the same principles of Hinduism, what the Supreme Pontiff has been teaching us, whether it be it the science of an avatar, or be it the free will, or be it the peace-loving people, or everything, the concepts of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, we were very well able to see how Sanatana Hindu Dharma is not just a religion, but it's a lifestyle by itself. It's the greater science, as how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism puts it as. What was your understanding when you took this Hindu Holocaust, something that has never been told before, to the world today? How did you feel about it? How was the response that you received for specifically, like it was nice as when you were sharing about how people were like quite shocked, like when even people did not like know why are Hindus attacking themselves. But in a deeper level, how did you feel for the first time to take this, to be a channel where through the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, through each of you blessed Kailashians, was able to take this Hindu Holocaust to the international platform? How did you feel about it?
So, yeah. So when I was told that I'm supposed to go and share about the Hinduism platform, it was, I mean, in the Hindu Holocaust that was happening, I was okay. I thought, let me go. Then I started preparing, organizing myself what to do, and the amount of it was actually a very moving experience for me. Like, I didn't realize there was so much of hidden pain that each of us carry. Like, I'm sure if you go through this process, there is a lot of pain we practicing Hindus carry, because of persecution of HDH or because of what is happening to gurus, and it is not even known to us. And as we were talking about this, even with a few words, the other person was moving. Like, I didn't have to use too many words to explain. For them, when they see us, when they spoke to us, they saw us as very authentic people. I mean, nobody was even, how do I put it? There was not even a lack of disconnect is a very weak word to explain. Like, there was, like, people are moved to tears when we were explaining about ourselves, and they didn't even come from the same religion. I mean, different parts of the world. I mean, come on, a Christian guy coming and giving the blessings of a Buddhist tradition, because why was it? You have to understand why he's doing that, right? Hindus and Buddhism are closer, right? That is why he could probably find those blessing items in the nearby place or somewhere else, and that is why he came there. He could have given anything else from his Christianity. See, that much of concern was there, that much of sensitivity was there in that place. It was all round. It was not like unique or whatever. I mean, even the government agencies, right? The amount of sensitivity they showed was phenomenal. I mean, they would listen very patiently. They would have no expression of fatigue or no expression of, okay, I'm not interested. No, very, very sensitive people all around.
Actually, for the first time, being this Holocaust being taken to the world itself means literally like a redefinition for what Sanatana Hindu Dharma is. Because unfortunately, due to mass atrocity material generation and the continuous, relentless, barbaric persecutions that Sanatana Hindu Dharma has been facing, this taking this the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism just through his sheer hard work and Tyaga, he has like literally organized the entire Holocaust or that Sanatana Hindu Dharma has faced, put all the researchers together, and now like all three take that to that international platform. So I was able to go and talk about it just because of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism organizing the whole thing out of hard work and sacrifice. Because as a single person, he has gone through and is going through the whole Holocaust as literally like a hologram of the Hindu Holocaust. Actually, whatever persecutions, whatever Holocaust that Sanatana Hindu Dharma has been facing for centuries now, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been facing this in the last few decades itself as a hologram of the entire Hindu Holocaust. So when we are seeing, despite of going through all of that, he has taken that responsibility to take this to the world. Now that Hindus are not just Hindus, human beings, the decision makers, influencers, people who are opinion makers, thinkers, the hope of tomorrow, everybody are waking up and are getting the awareness, getting to know this is what has been happening to Sanatana Hindu Dharma. They are getting to know what all the barbaric attacks it is still going through. So from this perspective, just wanted to understand from all of you, like, how do you, when you went there and when you shared this, what did you see as a response from the thinkers, opinion makers, the influencers of the society? How did you feel when you took these?
Nobody is going to forget this. What we have shared, nobody is going to forget. I mean, people who have better things to do in life, they did not forget. So it is now part of the memory of all the opinion makers, all the thinkers. Because the kind of things that they have heard, see, it when we were sharing, it has moved them. Now, such an experience, nobody is going to forget. It doesn't happen very often, right? It happens very rarely, and it's now because it is part of their memory, right? Now, as we go and approach it more, they already, everyone recognizes us now. It's like, people came to us, like when, and people are curious, right? What we were doing there. I mean, it's like it's part of the memory of the rest of the humanity. Like there is no going back around this.
Yes, Aya,
So-
actually to us and asking, are you Hindus? And so proudly we would say, yes, we are Hindus representing Kailasa Nation, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And I feel so blessed to have been given this opportunity to represent Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism over there.
Actually, on this note, I would like to ask one question to all three of us. See, as Hindus, when Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, is standing as a hologram of not just what's happening to Hinduism now, but the years of invasions, persecutions, and attacks, be it in terms of losing our intellectual wealth or how we were looted, how our women, how the whole matriarchal society that flourished was destroyed from its root, how the education system was strategically collapsed, and how our economic strength was just brought down. We were looted, and we were strategically, the whole Sanatana Hindu Dharma was trying to be uprooted by various other forces and various other elements. Up to this day, even today, because Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is standing as a voice, and because Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is reviving and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has one of the most progressive stance in reviving the Sanatana Hindu Dharma in one of the most practically applicable way for the modern minds today. And how do you think, when you took this persecution and you shared this with people, what do you think is the difference that you see happening, especially when you are having this opportunity and blessing of representing the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa, when you share with people about persecution, about what Hinduism has, what has happened to Hinduism and what is the revival that is happening? What is the difference that you see when you share this, not just in terms of people, how they take it, but how do you think this is making a difference in the revival of Hinduism, in the happening of Kailasa at large for humanity?
Earlier, I used to struggle, how do we make Kailasa happen? How Swamiji will do it? There was a lot of unknowns, a lot of questions, a lot of, it is I wouldn't use the word anxiety, but it is, a point of thought, let me put it that way, right? Because, in Swamiji said, it's going to happen, right? Paramashiva, there is no stopping you. But you still carry that, worry or, that tension or whatever you want to call it. After going through this, like, the level of activism has gone like multiple times, right? There is no question of doubt. There is only question of, like, there is no question of success or failure. It is like, I have to just go from A to B. That's it. There is no, I might have to go up and down in between, but I know I will reach B. And we have a clear pathway of going there. And it's that the cognitive shift has definitely happened, right? Now, and a lot of things that Swamiji himself was doing in the last 2 years, 3 years, like small things that he would say, all those things, like it formed all the dots have joined together, right? At least for me, like things that he used to say, one line that he used to say something, like, okay, like for example, he spoke about passport is a fundamental right? Then when I went back and looked up, I found no, passport is not a fundamental right. Then I began to study court documents and everything, right? And then I came to realize, yes, actually passport is a fundamental right in India. Once the passport is given, even courts and governments don't have the power to hold it back. That's it. Once passport is given, there is no question of taking it back. and it is protected by Article 21, which itself is fundamental right. So that is a passport of India is fundamental right. Things that we were looking into, then we ended up realizing that every fundamental right of his was violated, like his right to speech, right to religion, right to life, right to move within country. I mean, you're allowed to freely move within the country, right? Even that was violated. Every fundamental right that is listed in the Constitution of India was violated without due process. See, the only time you can violate somebody's fundamental right is if you're convicted. Without conviction, you have no authority of violating the fundamental right. And his passport he was exiled, okay, and then his passport was cancelled. That means what? He becomes a stateless. And according to that international, the treaties, you cannot make a person stateless. It's an international crime, not just a domestic crime. So I mean, there are a lot of these things that the world will figure out. I mean, it's like, how do I put it? It's like the worst of the worst time. I don't think even dictatorships do it so systematically. Violation of fundamental rights. I mean, they might do it brutally, but not this level of organization and systematically. It never happens.
It's too systematic and extremely brutal, and it is so continuous. The atrocity material generation is so enormous that people, even the common mass that see, literally stop seeing through what is very obvious. Yeah. And then they start believing the altered, false, convoluted narration of this anti-Hindu militant forces. And it's like a very technical, very systematic way they'll brainwash the entire mass. The entire mass is literally brainwashed and forced to think only through this.
So I'll tell you an interesting story, right? So there was other human rights, Hindu human rights organization looking at human rights. They don't look at India, right? They look at only India and Pakistan where human rights have been violated, because in their worldview there is no violation of human rights in India. Then he came to me, and then he reached out to me after my remarks on Swamiji. So 3 things that stuck with that group, right? Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So how can he be Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism? And second, we didn't know that he was exiled and his passport was cancelled. And the third thing was, they didn't realize that gurus are being persecuted in India. And then he began to talk about his own tradition. He says he's a Kashmiri Shaivite. Then I had to explain to him, right? See, what every tradition in India, if you're a Kashmiri Shaivite, if you're an Adi Shaivite, or if you're a God or Vaishnava, whatever, it is all, what is the center of that? Guru Sishya Parampara, right? Or lineage. Everything else revolves around it. So everything else is like the gift of the Parampara that individuals enjoy. Now, with that person, then he was curious. How can you have hierarchy in Hinduism? Like, I had to make him understand it's not hierarchy, it is the responsibility given by 17 traditions. SPH is not a position of power, it's a position of responsibility. And then I actually had to tell him the family which was protecting the deities of, in the Kashmir, Devi deities. I think it was Sharda Devi, incarnation of Sharda Devi deities. The families protected it for 700 years from persecution. When they found SPH, they gave it to SPH, right? And then the SPH kept it in Shamala Pitam until the time is right for them to be returned back to the Kashmir Sampradaya. And these are the stories. When he heard, he had to think. He couldn't even respond. I mean, it has definitely shaken up a lot of people's worldview.
I think more like as a Hindu, the very inner image that we carry is literally like destroyed, like shattered to pieces. Ma Vijay Priya, just wanted to ask both of you. Before you met Swamiji, before you got introduced, this is just like a very personal question. How did you feel as your identity as a Hindu? And when yesterday, when you went and when you were dressed, that to representing the world's greatest Hindu nation and being a voice for the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and taking to the world the Hindu Holocaust. Because before this, before meeting Swamiji, history was taught as mythology for us. Our great Puranas were taught as mythologies. So how did you feel? What is the difference you feel in the very identity that you carried as a Hindu?
Well, before I met Swamiji, so actually only after I met Swamiji, I knew what it really means to be a Hindu. You know, like I didn't have, so before I was just saying, okay, I was born Hindu and so that's it, I'm a Hindu, even though like I was eating non-Sattvic food, so I was a Hindu. So in Mauritius, still a lot of people think like that. So only after meeting Swamiji, I came, he gave me the this knowledge of what is true, authentic Hinduism. And only when you practice these, you get initiated into this, and then you practice these values, then you get to become a true an authentic Hindu. And before, I wouldn't so I wouldn't wear my like saris out or like traditional clothes. I would feel very very aware, and I wouldn't be comfortable wearing it outside of an like Indian event. But now we are wearing it like proudly. We are walking the streets of with our saris and like holding it proudly, and with all our jewelries. And people actually, so actually our cognition shifted. People looking at us and like amazed of how beautiful like the sari is. Like everyone, when we were at the conference, everyone was saying like, you're so beautiful, I like your costume, they were saying. So then we were saying that this is our traditional like formal dress, and they were saying like, oh, I like your jettas. But before, I wouldn't consider this as being like something I should be proud of, but now it's like totally different. And even
beautiful, Ma. Actually, because see, just a few centuries before, we actually once upon a time, we had 56 nations. It was Hindu nations. And apart from that, just in like, even when the British came and occupied India, 900 Hindu Rashtras were there. 900 just within India, the princely states, that's how they called it. So when we are being like persecuted with all these other things, only what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Swamiji has revealed to us, has shown with the record, with the proof, all of us. But otherwise, we as a Hindu are identityless, literally. We are force-fed the altered, manipulated, convoluted, corrupted version of history, and force-fed that as a mythology, where even in our history textbooks, barely we see even 1% of what enormous, what glorious lifestyle, the greater science, Sanatana Dharma was. So seeing this today and like going and having an opportunity to be that channel, to be that voice, it's something phenomenal. Because right now, when you are going and when you are talking something, you're not talking from an idea or perspective that of you being an individual, but being a voice of the one who is the voice of the 2 billion Hindus, and the one who is taking this for the first time to the world. I actually like, just when you take this, when we actually see this Hindu Holocaust, the real Holocaust being spread, the awareness increasing to all the Hindus, I think that itself will be a big wake-up call, that people can just see how the same strategy is used again and again and again to persecute all the Hindu gurus. So this itself would be a big wake-up call, and this will literally shake their very core, shake and change Like if you remember very recently in Parashakti Akashic reading, Devi was revealing who a Hindu is and how it is important for the Hindu to be responsible for keeping up the dharma. So now when we take this to the world, and now that the international, the decision makers, the elite of the society are starting to become aware of the Holocaust, this itself is forming the grounds for the real Sanatana Dharma to be known to the world. Actually,
And
that
not
is
just, sorry, just one correction, ma. It's not starting to be aware, they're aware now. The actual thinkers are already aware now. See, the way it works is behind the decision makers, you have a whole bunch of researchers, policy makers, those actually do the groundwork of doing the research. Now, all of them are aware. There is no cross section that you can think of. Every combination of religion, geography, specialists, they're all aware now. There is no question of decision makers or the strategists not being aware. Strategists are aware, decision makers are aware. I mean, by the time it's like they just have to go through the process, right? The people at the top are aware, but they will not take a decision until subordinates below them go through the hard work of documenting it properly, doing the analysis, reports, counter reports. They have. It's like publishing a journal, right? You have to go through a proper procedure, get it vetted, validated. All that paperwork that needs to happen has to happen. Once that is done, the decisions will come. But everyone is aware now. It's no longer starting to be aware.
Absolutely. Actually, that is most important things, because for the last from the time the revival of Kailasa has happened, at every stage, Swamiji has been taking the science behind the whole contribution of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, how it flourished, and also the persecution, and clearly showing to us the whole strategy of how it has happened, be it how the atrocity material generation happens or how the programmed confusion happens, the strategy and how it is planned each time. And each time the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is taking it to a larger audience, making more people aware and presenting to the world statistically, scientifically, and telling the truth as it is factually to people without any kind of exaggeration or alteration. And this is made a huge difference to Hindus by themselves. Actually hearing when Gauri Bharata here share, or Ma Vijayappriya and Jayapriya sharing, when you all go and when you're all sharing it to people, it is making a difference to the commoners, where people understand, even as Hindus, many of us become aware of the Holocaust that has happened to us as at large, and what we are missing out, and how the revival of Kailasa, how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is standing as a voice for the 2 billion Hindus. And at this point, taking this to the world is the most crucial, most important. Like Devi had revealed in one of the Parashakti Akashic readings, it is not about the invasions, the attackers who are active, but it is the Hindus themselves who are inactive, is directly the cause for the Holocaust and the destruction. So on this note, just would like to ask all three of you, is there anything else that you want to share with the viewers, with everybody, about the whole of the summit that happened, and any other thing that you would like to share? Ma Jayapriya. Go ahead, Ma.
Yes, Ma, I would say the summit definitely gave us the direction, how to proceed, who to reach out to. And definitely it's the hope, like how Akilaya has said, Gauri Bharatanandaya has said, that now the decision makers know that the persecution on the SPH has happened, is happening. So now just the process needs to be done. But that itself is such a relief, a big hope for us Hindus, that our voice is being heard on the international platform, and also getting the support of the international community.
Yes, this has opened a lot of doors.
Yes. And a lot of people, decision makers, reporters, writers, organizations who publish reports, now they are aware that this is happening to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And also that Hinduism has a Guru Shishya Parampara, so I feel because that was also, we discussed about this. So it's like now they know that even Hindus have a lineage, Guru Shishya Parampara, and Swamiji is has been coronated as, and has been recognized as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism by over 1,000 Hindu leaders.
See, even the people, right, Hindus who denied the existence of SPH, they don't have an argument against it anymore. Like, they had to accept that he was the SPH.
Yes.
Whether they agree it or not, they had to accept. They didn't have any way of countering that.
Yes, they couldn't even say otherwise that no, he is not, he cannot be. So that is, I feel that is established now. He is the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, of 2 billion Hindus.
No, it was already established a while back. It's just that the opponents have no argument around it.
Yeah.
Actually, that was really very powerful news, I think, for all the Hindus across the, because for the first time in a very international platform, it's a breakthrough that we have had, that the Holocaust, the Hindu Holocaust, is now being told to the world after intense hard work, sacrifice of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagat Guru Mahasanidanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagwan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam, going into it. So
and also actually it was so exciting, and actually I should say it's empowering for each and every Hindu, each and every one of us, when we hear finally our voices are being heard. Thousands of indigenous traditions that would have been, that is almost, becoming extinct, and thousands of people that are facing discrimination, prejudice, that are suffering so much of attacks because of their culture and religion. Each of them will feel empowered, because be it how Swamiji has been taking a very progressive stance on each of this, reviving these sciences, reviving these traditions, protecting these indigenous traditions, plus how Swamiji has been proactively, continuously taking this to the platforms, reaching the persecution of the world and bringing a solution to it. And each time, be it when recently UN had recognized the persecution that happened to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, to Hinduism at large, and to Kailasa, and now taking it to the international platforms, to the summits, each time it is empowering for each and every one of us Hindus that we have a voice, we have the hope. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is leading a huge change for humanity at large by reviving Hinduism, establishing the world's greatest Hindu nation, Kailasa. So we thank Ma Vijaya Priyananda, Manikya Jaya Priyananda, and Shri Gauri Bharatananda here. We thank all three of you to have come and shared. It was absolutely informative. It was absolutely exciting to hear your experiences and how you had represented, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Kailasa, and Hinduism at large in the International Religious Freedom Summit. So we thank all three of you for taking your time to come and join and share with us. And I'm sure each and every viewer is looking forward for more such exciting news that is going to be coming up constantly, and more such informative segments as well. So we thank all three of you for joining us today.
So now we'll actually concluding this segment with the Purna Mantra. And also thank you all the viewers who are tuned in and watching. And thank you so much for all of your feedback, comments, and tweets, etc. Now with this all, conclude this segment with the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ओं तत्सत् सर्वं भगवन् नित्यानन्द परमशिव पादुकार्पणमस्तु। ॐ नित्यानन्दम्। Thank you so much. And we welcome all of you. Let's all meet back again at 4 p.m. Indian Standard Time for the next live program. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Manati Vijay Priyananda, Manati Jai Priyananda, and Gauri Gauri.
Thank you very much.
Nithyananda.
And